All right, Pasadenans and heroes everywhere, it is I, your friendly neighborhood Rabbi John Carrier, and I'm here today to ask you, what's better now? Now being the 16th of June, 2020 by the Gregorian calendar, and there's been a lot of negativity, a lot of bad things going on. People are losing their jobs, people are losing their lives, people are questioning lots of things we used to take for granted. But I'm seeing some silver linings here and there. And today, on today's show, I want to keep it positive. I want to ask you the question, what is better in your life now than, let's say, 3 months ago? And we could dwell on things that are negative, but today let's just take a pause, dwell on the positive. And in the meantime, you are free to ask me anything here on PJTC's Rabbi Chat after this brief musical interlude. So glad to be back with you here at PJTC's Rabbi Chat. It is I, your friendly neighborhood Rabbi John Carrier. I am delighted to join you twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific Time for this show I'm calling Rabbi Chat, brought to you by the fine people at Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center. I am your friendly neighborhood Rabbi John Carrier, and this is a place where you are welcome to ask me anything. Well, you're welcome in general, whether you have a question or not. You just want to stop by and say hi. If you want to lurk like a lurker, that's cool with me too. If you are curious about Judaism, if you're Jewish and just want to hang out with other Jewish people or other people who are also Jew curious, you are welcome here. If you're pretty serious about belonging to another religion, but you have questions about Judaism anyway, you're in the right place, and I am delighted to answer whatever questions you have, but I like to have something to talk about in case, get crickets in the question department. I have a question for you today. What is better in your life than there was 3 months ago? If there's nothing, I understand. Some days I'm with you. But if there's something that's better, I really want to hear about it. Let's accentuate the positive on today's show. Let's see who is joining us in the multi-chat. Nice to see Trig Bell. Shalom and much love. D. Willexen. Shalom l'kulam. Trig Bell says, nice haircut. Thank you. I did it myself. If that's not obvious. K. Dixie Trig says she'll be here Thursday. Nice to see people. We've already got people joining us from Facebook and Twitch and YouTube, which is where we simulcast from. Karen J.G. Wilcox says, hey, Trig, yeah, I'm jealous of people who can pull off buzz cuts. I wouldn't say I'm pulling it off, except the hair that I pulled off. That's about it. It's what's crazy for me is I'm like my hair is like a black and white cookie right now. It's like, well, it used to be all brown. Now it's just next to the white. It doesn't look so much brown as it does black, and then there's the white, and so it's like it almost looks like I'm half bald on one side. This is a number 4 clipper attachment if people are keeping score. So, yeah, that's what was heavy for me is that this is my second self-administered COVID haircut, and it was at least this short last time too. So that's how long we've been doing this. D. Willexen says, I'm much further along in my doctoral dissertation than I was before. That's awesome. We're talking about positive stuff that's been happening. My proposal defense is around the corner. That's great. So, I'll say my hair looks better than it did, well, maybe not 3 months ago, but certainly 3 days ago. Let's see what else is going on. It is Thursday. Is today Thursday? No, I'm pretty sure today's Tuesday. Don't mess with me. What is better now? It would have to be inward things, because outwardly things are more challenging. I was thinking about this joke that one of my good friends, Danny, tells. It's like there's a waiter at a deli, and there's 3 people having lunch. And, sometimes at delis, people vetch. If you're not familiar, it's KVETCH in English. It's people go to delis, you're having lunch, you complain about something like, this, the stock market's terrible, everybody's under lockdown, the soup is cold, the pastrami is too peppery, and so the waiter comes to their table and says to them, "Is anything okay?" And for me, that is a quintessentially, we'll say, Jewish approach to looking at the world sometimes. I don't want to make any stereotypes. We're not all negative all the time, but I will say, even when things are looking pretty dark, we do tend to see the humor in things where we can shine that light in. And so the question is anything okay? Like, is there anything good going on right now? I'm getting bored just talking about bad news. So I wanted to make some room for some good things that are happening in people's lives. I'll share one. This is what inspired me. We were at a meeting, a Zoom meeting of all things, last week. Can you imagine? People getting together on Zoom. And so we were at the Zoom thing. It wasn't just a meeting, it was a volunteer recognition lunch. This is something PJTC does every year. Usually it's as a part of like a Shabbat service. We'll have a Shabbat service where we celebrate all the volunteers that make all the great things in our community possible, whether it's people who help out with music, whether it's people who help, greet people, whether it's people who volunteer on the board for the sisterhood, for the men's club, people who help organize food drives and blood drives and also quantum drives and warp drives and all sorts of things. This is Pasadena after all. But so many volunteers do so much to make what we do happen, and we like to recognize that. But because our Shabbat services are all like live stream, no lunch, we said let's do it on a Tuesday, or let's do it on a Thursday. I'm getting confused too. Let's get everybody together for a Zoom call. Bring your own lunch. And we'll get together, we'll hang out, and we'll chat. And, Cantor Ruth sang a song, and Melissa Melissa Levy, our youth director, sang a song. I taught a little bit of Torah in between. And we acknowledged those people, and there were like 30-some people, or let's say 30-some Zoom windows open, and some of them had couples in them, and some of them had their kids in the background. And so there were like 35, 40 people together. And one person remarked that he's like, I'm more active in the temple than I ever was, right? Because now, you've shaved off half an hour of the commute every time he went to, 15 minutes there, 15 minutes back. He couldn't go to a meeting at the temple without, getting all dressed and getting in the car and doing all the things and scheduling your life around it. Now you just turn on the computer screen and you're there and you're participating and you're helping. And for him, that opened the door to engagement with the synagogue. And I want to notice when good things like that are happening in dark days. So that's why I wanted to make room for this. We got D. Willexen has made some progress on his doctoral dissertation. That's incredible. Kay Dixie says, now I value people, learning, and spirituality even more than before COVID. So Yasher Koach, I think that's worthy of lifting up and celebrating as a good thing that has happened. It has been a bit of a pause. It has been a bit of setting aside things that were occupying our time, which has made room for things that we were maybe putting off, or maybe we didn't even notice that we could devote time to. So I want to acknowledge that. Let's see. I want to go up in here now. Let's see. Have time for inward things. Stacy Coyle joins us, says, going back to work after being furloughed, definitely an improvement for me. That is happening. This is something I know where my wife works. There was a lot of furloughs, and now things are starting to pick up again. Greater demand. The economy is picking up. I'm personally concerned about the pace and ways in which we're picking things back up because I worry about people's safety. But I'm glad to hear that a lot of people are getting back to work who've been off work for a while. That is a good thing. And I think, as Trig says, better that I have found a new love for my job. I miss it so dearly, and I'm a better person for it. So those things which we're having to set aside, it's really making us appreciate those things. This absence makes the heart grow fonder, etc. So I think it's, even if you're not back to work, it's good to appreciate how much you love the work that you do. Let's see. Let's see. Karen J.G. Wilcox says, maybe a 6 on the top and shorter on the sides next time. Thank you for that. So, yeah, this was just a number 4 all over. I mean, usually what I do, I go to Art the barber. Here in Burbank, there's a guy around the corner from me. Just I can walk there. I don't, because I live in Los Angeles, but I can walk there. and it's like 20 bucks, you know, which is nothing for a haircut in Los Angeles. And I just say, give me the same. And the same is number 2 on the back and sides, finger length on top, and he's just like doop, 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 15 minutes in and out. And if I go at the right time of day, no waiting, it's just one guy, you know, in there. There's a barber pole and everything. I do miss Art. I miss Art dearly. I'm one of those people, I don't like talking during getting a haircut, and Art doesn't make me talk. So thank you, Art. I miss you, man. I hope you're all right. But so I tried my first COVID haircut. I tried the 2 on the sides and a 4 on the top, but I really couldn't tell the difference. And it's hard to do your own hair and get that border. So this time I'm just like, forget about it. And I just did a number 4 all over the place and had my wife come back and get the cowlick where I had all these big clumps sticking out. So it was a family event. And then I picked up the newspaper that had all my hair in it and threw it away. So 4Guard is perfect. Thank you. But I just want to read. So Natalie Serrata's in the house. Shalom, y'all. She says, "Good to see you, Natalie." Kay Dixie says, "I'll say this again. Bears repeating. Now I value people, learning, and spirituality even more than before COVID." Yes. Let's see. Natalie says, "Better things under lockdown. New online job. Cool. And PJTC live." That has really. I'll tell you what. Again, I wouldn't have wanted this to be the reason, but it has really challenged us to up our game in terms of the services that we put together for people and making those services more accessible. Our community voted, I don't know exactly, it was before my time, voted at least a couple of years ago to say, hey, let's start exploring live streaming our services. And we'll do it occasionally, right? And we did it for the high holidays, so that people who were members and maybe moved away to Florida or something like that, or were traveling overseas, could come in and see our services, right? And then we said, okay, well, maybe when we have a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah, maybe there's family who can't make it into town, we'll turn the camera on for that. And so it was sort of an occasional thing that we were just kind of testing out, and then boom, the curtain drops, and suddenly that is the only way we can do services. And it was a little bit of a transition in the sense that, there were, after the stay-at-home orders here in California happened, we did have a couple of services where we let people attend as long as they washed their hands and put masks on and stuff. But the feeling of the community was, and I agreed with this, was that we should, for now, just have me and the cantor and maybe a couple of members of our davening team, those are the musicians that really help us out, and a camera, and that's it. And I remember, there was, once we put the word out, there was one older gentleman who doesn't check his email came to services, and that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, is say, I'm really happy to see you, and you can't come to services today. And that broke my heart, but that's what we had to do. But as soon as that happened, live streaming became our only way to help lift people up on Shabbat. And I know there are different synagogues that are doing it in different ways. I respect every judgment that every synagogue is making, except people who insist on being open, because that's, to me, idolatry of services. But, if a community can get together and say, this is the way we're going to do it, and we're going to keep people safe, however they do that, that's fine. We're still trying to figure it out ourselves, frankly. And, I think later today I have a meeting of the reopening committee to say, okay, under what circumstances are we reopening, and how. Probably, I think the consensus is that before anything else happens, services will be, the religious services of Friday night and Saturday morning will be opening before anything else. And our anything else is quite a bit, frankly. We have a lot of meetings going on, a lot of clubs and little organizations within the temple, classes and things like that have all moved to Zoom. But, sometime in the indefinite future, we will have services again. But we also acknowledge that even when we do have in-person services, there are going to be people, and I say God bless you and encourage you to make this decision. There will be people who, for whatever reason, don't feel comfortable coming back yet. So now our assumption is that we're always going to have streaming services. Even you could, got a vaccine, everybody's fine, everybody's safe, throw the doors back open. I'm pretty sure that we're still going to have streaming services, because it has lowered the barrier to access of services to more people than we could have even imagined. So that's, I think, a really good thing, that this challenge has challenged us to make what we do more accessible. That's not the decision that everybody's making. That's fine. Some people are like, okay, we'll do the streaming thing for now, but as soon as we can open our doors again, we're going to shut it down because that's not how we do Judaism. That's fine. If Judaism is very small d democratic, local decision making, that's okay. Our decision is we have just started to get really good at streaming services, and that's not going to go away anytime soon. So, Karen Wilcox says, I bow to Trigg's expertise. If Trigg says number 4 is good enough for me. So, Trigg says, I have found that I get great joy, oneg, nice, good use of Hebrew there, in being useful, even volunteering to help paint a house, pick blueberries, no compensation needed. It's just useful. It's just good to feel needed. It's good to, especially for people whose livelihoods are set aside. That's been just if I could dwell in the negative for a second, that's hard. People derive meaning from their work. I thank God every day that I still get to do what I do when a lot of people don't get to do what they do, because I derive great meaning from my work. And so for a lot of these people, it's not just about money, it's about meaning. And meaning comes from doing something that is serving something greater than yourself. And if you can help somebody paint a house or pick blueberries, and that gives you a sense of being useful and a sense of meaning, that is really something to recognize. And I just want to cry a little bit. Like, just not everybody gets that lesson in life, and that people here do. I'm personally grateful for that. Let's see. D. Alexis says, also, I just remembered last month I attended the first ever, as far as I know, virtual archaeology conference on the Dead Sea Scrolls, hosted by the Israel Antiquities Authority. Might that have not happened if we didn't have this kind of situation? Maybe not. Let's see. Agreed. As a healthcare provider, I'm gravely concerned. So I'm with you. My sister's a healthcare provider as well. She's actually does home care nursing and was working for a family that just, I'll say it this way, was not. I don't want to ascribe any negativity, because for whatever reason, maybe they just weren't situated very well to stay safe. And a lot of people don't have that option. I mean, that's a great amount of privilege that I have, that we have, that my wife and I are both working, and we can work from our home in relative safety. A lot of people don't have that option, but my sister was going to help out these folks in their home, and they could not isolate, and she could not keep that job. That was a decision that she had to make. Ruthie's in the house. Hello, Ruthie. I keep meaning to reach out. Ruthie, I got your note, and it was really, really cute. And it's on my desk right now, and it makes me feel really good. Now I'm just thinking about it. It makes me feel really good. So Ruthie sent me a nice note. Thank you, Ruthie. Kay Dixie says, really appreciate PJTC services live, especially now being far away. Nice. I'm glad you made the travels okay. Vit, your Malowitz is in the house. Hey, Vit. Natalie says, hello, Vit. And everybody's just saying hi to each other. This is what I love about this live stream, is not just talking incessantly, which I seem to enjoy. That hasn't changed. But I enjoy people saying hi to each other in the chat. That makes me feel really good. Kay Dixie says, want to thank everyone in our fan club who showed up at the AMAs when I had no computer access. Let's see. All right, we get a boy. I did say ask me anything, and Amoxibus asked the question, who is God, where is God, and what does God want from us? That's 3 questions. I said ask me anything, so I can't dodge this one. This isn't everybody's answer. I'm going to give you my answer. God is the... I'm hesitating for Maimonidean reasons, right? God can really only, according to Maimonides, be defined in the negative, because any positive statement about God limits God in ways that are ungodly. So with that proviso, I'll say God is the being that created the universe that I enjoy living in very much. This God gave us, from the beginning, free will, gave us an instinct about good and evil, that we are free to follow, but also gave us a guide when we need it. And that is the Torah, right? Along the way, God formed a relationship with all of humanity, had a distinct relationship with our people, the Jewish people, starting with Avram Avinu, Abraham our father. And that pertains to people who have descended from that family or joined that family. And with this special covenant has come the privilege, not exclusive to us, but we have our own story of being redeemed from hard times, namely slavery in Egypt, occasionally redeemed from other hard things as well. But with that redemption and that awful and confusing freedom of we can do anything we want, comes the question, what should we do? And the answer to that question came in the form, I believe, of the Torah. This is something that was given to the Jewish people in a particular moment, but is accessible to anyone. And so, who is God is this being that started this whole ball of wax. Where is God? Where really isn't a good adjective or interrogative for a being that pervades. And what does God want from us? I think God wants us to be good partners in the ongoing co-creation of the world. That's what I take as a matter of faith. You do you. And so thank you. Hope that answers the 3 hardest questions I have literally ever been asked online. Thank you for that, Amoxibos. I hope that helps a little bit. Let's see, we got a few people coming in from Twitch, some people I don't recognize, but I'm glad to see you here anyway. Let's see, what else is going on here? Say hi to Callie and her squeaky chicken. Yes, that's live TV, folks. You can hear my dog Callie, my almost 4-month-old German Shepherd, and her squeaky rubber chicken that she has inside the crate where she hangs out peacefully while I'm live streaming. So thank you for Natalie for noticing. I need a more directional microphone or a less squeaky chicken, I think. Good to see Mert SN says greetings. Haunted Hideaway says hello. Nice to have you all here. So what else is good? What else is good? I have a dope haircut, you know, that I gave myself and saved $20. Sorry, Art. I've learned some things. I've learned how awesome my family is, that I now get to spend more time with them than ever. Is it always fun and roses and stuff and never stressful? That's not true. But I really appreciate the young women that my daughters are, that in ways that like I never would have, like I probably spent more time with them in the last 3 months than I may have spent with them in the last several years. And that hurts my heart to say that because I've been a busy dude while they've been growing up. But I'm going to take the positive. I really appreciate this time that I've been able to spend with them. And the good thing they're in the other room or they'd be rolling their eyes at me right now. I really appreciate that I have a partner that we've been in the house for 3 months together, both working full-time jobs from home, and we still like each other most days. So that's a great blessing. That's going pretty good. What else? We got a dog. That's pretty cool. And this morning, personal victory, dream come true. Callie and I went for a jog together. So there are many good reasons, I think, for bringing a dog into our home that we sometimes question when she bites us. But one thing I was hoping was to have a dog that could be a running partner. I've done running various times in my life. I don't look like a runner, and I acknowledge that. I'm about a 6 to 6.5 hour marathoner. But my wife and I, when we were first married, used to run together multiple times a week. Since the kids came along, we haven't been able to do that. And now I can't keep up with her. So one thing I'd envision was having a dog that could go on jogs with me. And when she was a puppy, 8 weeks old, couldn't do that. Now that she's almost 16 weeks old, she can run with me for a mile without even panting, really. I'm just huffing and puffing. I look back, she's like slow gait. She's like, really? Okay, this is running, fine. But we took a jog together today. That's something I've been looking forward to, and it worked really well. So Amoxibos asks another question. When is Messiah coming? When we need it. or her or it. I'll say it that way. Messiah is a concept that I think is oversimplified in some theologies. We think of the Messiah, when I say we, I mean like Western culture maybe, as this superhero that's going to come in and save everybody from everything, is going to have magic powers and probably some sort of heavenly yichus pedigree. One thing, this wonderful rabbi that I interviewed for my podcast, his name escapes me, Mark. Gosh, why can't I think of it? You ever have that thing where you know people really well and you forget their name when you're put on the spot? But this wonderful rabbi came on my podcast, the Jew Curious show, a couple years ago, and was talking about this very different concept of the Messiah as that concept evolves in Judaism than is perceived in Christianity. Messiah comes from the Mashiach in Hebrew, which just means anointed one. And there are actually at least a couple of figures in our history that have already been called Mashiach. One was Saul or Shaul, and one was David or David. Both of these dudes, human dudes, from humble origins, especially David, if you really go down the family tree, oh my goodness, did not come from stock that people would brag about. I'll put it that way. But he had God's favor, and that notion of Mashiach, which just means anointed, means a king that is anointed by people that God approves of and supports. And so when we think of, the next coming of the Messiah or anything, for some Jews take it as a matter of faith that it is a person who will have magical powers and make the world a better place like that. And then we have Olam Haba, and everybody's going to be happy, and everything's going to be peaceful, and it's going to be super dope. For some Jews, it's a matter of faith that Messiah is not going to be a person, but it's going to be a state that we achieve when all the work that we are doing to repair the world pays off, right? Messiah is, in essence, all of us acting right at once, right? When we figure out how to have a world that is a peaceful paradise, that's Mashiach. And we won't need a superhero to fix stuff for us. So there's lots of different ways of thinking about Messiah. I tend to approach it like, well, just in case it's not in my lifetime, what can I do to fix the world right now? With the tools that I have, with the talents that I have, setting aside the shortcomings of all the things that I don't have, what can I do? Who can I partner with? What difference can we make now? Right? And maybe we'll inspire other people to act right too. And maybe that will either bring this Messiah figure or create that world to come without any external help. So that's my answer to that. I appreciate the question. I did say anything, and boy, you guys are really taking me to task on that. So we're going to wrap up here in a second. We usually go for about half an hour on this show. I really appreciate people sharing things that are better. Like I said, I picked up some new skills here. We got a dog. I've got a garden going. Did some canning this past weekend. Never thought I'd do that, but you never know. Winter is coming, folks. Don't ask me. Watch Game of Thrones. So I thought, hey, would it be hilarious to buy a giant pressure cooker and to can food for the future, just in case things aren't as readily available for whatever reason. But just also because it's also put me in touch with, I say, my inner mama. Like, it's put me in touch with a lot of my, let's say, rural roots coming from Texas and West Virginia and places like that. I've got a great victory garden growing out on the porch. I've done a little bit of canning. If only I lived next to a lake, I would go fishing, just like my grandparents showed me how. So Karen asked, "What are you canning?" So far, I've got some meat marinara sauce, and some chili con carne. I've got about a dozen pints of each. So we'll see how that goes. I haven't done any vegetables. We did start a CSA, like a farm box thing, where once a week somebody drops off random produce at our house, which is kind of cool. It's been sort of a fun challenge. Like, hey, that's a lot of fava beans. Like, well, let's find some fava bean recipes. Did you know that you can make pesto out of carrot greens? I know that now. So this was an idea I got from a high school friend Joe. We've been trading texts back and forth, like, "Hey, let's as long as we're in the apocalypse, let's think about farming and canning." And so, he has this farm box. Like, oh, I know what a farm box is. So I started to subscribe to the CSA thing. Every week, I get a ton of local organic produce, and we try to get through the whole box in a week before any of it goes bad. But then I've taken up some canning as well. Recipes, maybe next time. Maybe next time. I keep it simple. I have sort of a standard red sauce recipe. Just added meat to it this time. Chili is what is it? It's onions, peppers, beans, tomatoes, beef, water, some spices at the end. There you go. Kay says high acidic foods are safe. That's true. If you're doing some high acidic foods, you don't need to. You can just do that in a water bath canning. I opted for the pressure canning so that I can preserve meats and things like that. So really appreciate everybody being here today. What skills have you learned? Put that in the chat. Maybe you're watching this later and you can still chat on YouTube and on Facebook and things like that. What new skills have you picked up? What new appreciation have you picked up? That's something I never asked people to do, is like, maybe you're watching this later. Feel free to keep the conversation going. This is going to live forever-ish on YouTube, our YouTube channel at PJTC and our Facebook channel at PJTC. If any of this has inspired you to think about what blessings are in your life that you didn't have 3 months ago, I'd love to hear about that. Put those in the chat. What skills have you learned? What things were there all along that you appreciate in a different way now than you did before? So Trick says eating is my skill. I've done a fair amount of that too. I will say I've actually lost a bunch of weight here. I think just because of not going out to eat, not like stress eating and running over to Taco Bell between meetings and things like that. Vegetarian stuff. They have vegetarian stuff at Taco Bell. But just eating at home and doing all my own cooking, or rather us, I don't do all the cooking, but just eating healthier food has been good. New skills, instant pot dinners, new job inspired, very cool. I've heard you can do canning in Instant Pot, which is, I wish I would have heard that before I bought a 30-gallon pressure cooker. So, but anyway, it's like having an airplane engine in your house. So thank you everybody for being here, reading a lot, getting a lot of reading done. Listen, I really appreciate you guys showing up and bringing your hearts today, letting us know what's positive in your life. I feel like we got to check in with that every once in a while. We'll talk about negative stuff on Thursday or whatever day is 2 days from now, if I'm wrong about this being Tuesday. So thanks for being here. Thanks for paying attention to PJTC. You should know that we have this session every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. We have wonderful live stream services at PJTC, Friday nights at 7:30. Saturday mornings at 9:30. So, those go out to StreamSpot, those go out to Facebook Live, YouTube Live, wherever you are watching your live stuff, we're in your camera phone. So nice to have you. Thanks everybody for being here. Natalie says, Toda Rabbi, thank you very much. Well, you're welcome very much. And as always, heroes, it's a delight to learn with you. So to all the Pasadenans and all my heroes everywhere, peace.